Wysteria, energy, twister. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and to the wonderful world of fairies. We're still on the peas, we're now on the plant and whin. The plant and whin, the family of the other world, was the Welsh name used to describe the fairies. The name likely came from an underwater entrance to their kingdom located underground. And obviously, we've already heard of the hounds that are they have this very similar name. The Planthrais Dwyfen, the Planthrais Dwyfen, the family of Rise of the Deep, was a specific family of Welsh fairies. They lived on a hidden land where the plant of invisibility grew. Generally, they were friendly and would spend a great deal of money every time they went to market. Described as being particularly handsome and only slightly smaller than the average person, they appreciated fair dealings and would invite honest farmers and merchants back to their land with them. Pleiades, flock of doves or sailing ones, one of the 12 species of nymphs, might I add. Pleione, born one of the 3,000 daughters of the Titans, Oceanus and Tethys. Plantin Nued in Welsh folklore. The Plantin Nued are a changeling child. You know, the changeling children that are left behind by the Till of Teg. They take a human child and they leave a changeling in its place. Plexio, born one of the 3,000 daughters of the Titans, Oceanus and Tethys. Pelotto, a sea nymph from Greek mythology. She is the joy of sailing. Plauto, one of the 3,000 daughters of the Titans, Oceanus and Tethys. So was Pluto. Pluto was also born one of the 3,000 daughters of the Titans, Oceanus and Tethys. Pluvush. In Transylvania, there is an earthman by the name of Pluvush. According to the folklore, he steals infants in the night. Poaki, also known as the Ignis Fatuus, the Poke, and the Puckball fungus, and the Puck Feist. In the fairy lore of Worcestershire, England, the Poak, similar to the will-o'-the-wisp, was said to be mischievous spirits that led travellers into bogs, ditches and pools, and then laughed manically about it. Poke-hoke. Poke-hoke is a frightening goblin from East Anglian British folklore. Similar to a poltergeist, the poke-hoke would make knocking sounds from within the walls. The Polvik of Polish fairy lore are described as looking bipedal goats. They are nature spirits, protectors of fields. Sometimes their appearance would vary from region to region. It's been said that they have a body as black as earth, 2 different coloured eyes, and even long green grass rather than hair. Generally regarded as benign, the Polvik will assist in reaping and bringing in the harvest. However, they expect to be paid an excessive amount of harvest end. To prevent this from happening, it is said a contract must be drawn up in advance stating exactly what will be paid for their assistance, and the payment will be left in the field for them at night. Typically, the Polvik will decide if it's worth it or not, and if it's not, then it will move along. Nevertheless, farmers to this day will leave some extra grain in the fields as a libation to them. Polviks fear and will flee from sickles. Poludnica. Variations of the Poludnica name is Lady Midday. In Slovenia, there is a malicious nature spirit that looks like a beautiful tall woman wearing white, or dressed as if in mourning. In either guise, a Pludnica noon is said to be carrying a scythe or shears. During harvest time, right around noon, a Poludnica attacks labourers who are working and not taking their proper rest, causing them to be afflicted with heat stroke or madness, if they're lucky. If not, the Poludnica will lure them off with her beauty when she has them in a secluded place, attack viciously, draining them of their blood. It has also been said it will break the arms and legs of anyone it happens to come across. If a Poludnica comes up to a field worker, it will start to ask him difficult questions. As soon as he cannot answer one, it will chop off his head. It was said if a poludnika was seen, immediately drop to the ground and lie perfectly still until it goes away, basically wanders off, out of the way. That's the only way to really avoid it. The Poluvedika Slavic law half-believer is described as appearing naked and holding a child in her arms. She is said to have a long face and long hanging breasts. Her hair is kept in thick braids hanging down her back. Reported to be malicious, she would claim to be orthodox, yet chant the Devil's Creed. Interesting fairy indeed. I like those kind though, the ones that I guess are a little bit, what's the word? I don't want to say really bad or anything, but kind of on the naughty side. Ponature. In Maori mythology, the Ponature are a species of malevolent water fairy living deep in the ocean water. These fairy are described as having a light greenish coloured skin, and they are quite radiant though. They're phosphorescent, actually. Their hair is red and their fingers are long and tipped with claw-like talons. By day they live in their undersea kingdom. This is Manawatane, but by night they come onto land. The Ponature are fearful of fire and will die if subjected to direct sunlight. The Ponfayo. The Ponfayo are a species of gnat from the mythology of Quechan people of Burma. Pontomedusa, the sea nymph from Greek mythology. She was one of the Nereids. And there's many Ponto ones as well, might I add. Porpoise girl. Similar to the South American Encantado and the Selkies of the Orkney and Shetland Islands, Porpoise Girl of Micronesian folklore is well-known water fairy. According to the legend, Porpoise Girl had the ability to come up onto land, remove her tail and pass as a human. The tail was always well hidden. Without it, she would not be able to return to her home beneath the waves. One night, as she was watching people enjoy themselves at a dance, a fisherman discovered the tail, took it home with him. Unable to return to the sea, the porpoise girl married the fisherman and became the mother to his children. Many years later, the fairy accidentally discovered the hidden tail. She took it, solicited a promise from her children to never eat porpoise meat, and then, after slipping on her tail, dove into the ocean, never to be seen again. And there's many tales like that from many different water fae. Pochune. Also, the variations are Neptune and Wishmaker. These inch-tall fairies of medieval British folklore were described as looking like old men with wrinkled faces. Pochunes loved to play harmless pranks on humans, and were otherwise very wily. The Pochunes were among the very first of the fae to be recorded in English manuscripts. Similar to the leprechaun of Ireland, the Pochunes were guardians of treasure and hoards, and would grant its captor a wish if it ever caught the Pochune. And it would have to catch one first. They are friendly and helpful, though, Browden-like fairies, so they did work on farms. However, at night, they were not above grabbing the bridle of a horse and leading it, ride and all, into a pond. These fae were known to eat frogs. They roasted the frogs over human fires. Potamedes. This is an ancient Greek. She's one of the subspecies of naiads. Polynou, meaning richness. She was a sea nymph. She was one of the Nereids from Greek mythology. Pozemni vili, or Pozemni vile, or Pozemni vili. Slavic gypsy lore, the Pozem are a type of nature spirit that are amiable, companionable, and a noble fairy. These beings are apparently good at counselling mankind. They, like the gnomes they resemble, live underground, out of the way. Praxidike, Greek mythology, as she was a nymph of Lycia. Praxithia, a river nymph of the city of Athens, Greek mythology, obviously. Presini. According to medieval French folklore, Presini was a beautiful fountain fairy who had captured the eye of Elinas, the king of Albany. After the wedding, the nymph became pregnant and made her husband promise He would not look upon her while she was in labour. The king agreed, but when the time came, he discovered his wife was delivering triplets. In an excited state, he forgot his promise and watched their birth. Unhappily, Presney had to leave the kingdom with her 3 daughters. And there's a really long story in the Greek mythology part of all that as well. Even though it's not necessarily connected to that, their story is very similar to it, let's say. It just depends if you're aware of them or not. The Preparchis, a nature spirit in Polish folklore. The Preparchis was a guardian of domestic animals. He ensured that they were healthy and remained unharmed. Working in collaboration with another nature spirit, Kremara, Preparchis paid particular attention to sows in farrow and the weaning of piglets. Interesting fairy indeed. Pronoia bore one of the 3,000 daughters, the Titans, Oceanus, and Tethys. Prosimna was a nymph of the river Asterion in Argos. She's obviously from ancient Greece. Proto, a sea nymph, she was a Nereid, from the first or the maiden voyage in classical Greek mythology. Protomedia, a sea nymph, the first council or first queen, one of the named Nereids in Greek mythology. Protomelia, but Protomelia has a variation of her name which is Protomdusa. She's a sea nymph from Greek mythology. She's a Nereid. Prausa. Prausa was a nymph in ancient Greek mythology. Primo, one of the 3,000 daughters of the Oceanus Titans. Obviously, Tethys. There's many of those anyway, like I said. There's many as there are 3,000, as you can imagine, which goes for the same as nymphs. There are as many nymphs as there are daughters, so. Puck the French. In the fairy tale A French Puck by Paul Sébillot, there is a mischievous sprite called Puck, who was particularly fond of playing tricks on people during the midnight hour. It would especially be fond of pranking cowboys and shepherds. Puck had the ability to shapeshift into a child, goat, man, ploughshare, stick, and a woman. He also had the ability to shapeshift into a needle. However, he could not manage to make the hole. Puck would not play his tricks in the same place, and was always on the move from village to village. Puddlefoot, a singular being. Puddlefoot was a brownie believed to live in a small barn on the road between Dunkeld and Pichloistery, Scotland. He gained his name from the habit of splashing in puddles. That's really cute, actually. Puckin. Puckin is an APU who lives on the mountain peak in the Andes Mountains. Puikis. Possibly of German origin, Lithuanian mythology maybe. The Puikis is a household fairy. It's very similar to like a goblin type being, but has the appearance of a dragon. Apparently, though, he is a trickster and a treasure hoarding fairy, and it was said to have the ability to shapeshift into a cat, a rooster, while standing on the ground, or a dragon with a fiery tail while in the air, depending how you would see them. The Pukwudgies. In the folklore of the Wampanoag Nation, a Native American tribe of Massachusetts and southern New England, United States of America, the elusive, small and troll-like Pukwudgies have the ability to appear and disappear at will. They shapeshift into animals. They possess magical arrows that can create fire at will, and have control over the Pewankas, the spirits of the people they have killed. Standing no more than 3 feet tall, the face of the Pukwudgies have facial features similar to those of the Wampanoag people. However, their ears, fingers, and noses are greatly enlarged, and their skin is grey and smooth. These malicious nature spirits were known to lure people to cliffs and push them off. They would also use balls of light to lure victims into the woods, where they are killed or kidnapped, depending what they wanted from you. Pulch. A singular individual and nature spirit from German lore. Pulch was believed to be the guardian of the trees, making up the Kammerfrost, Audban forest near Trier. Anyone who walked through it with Gesteppen Lemon nail shoes, harmed one of the trees, or took their wood without its permission would expect to suffer some sort of retribution from this fae, which I'm obviously sure they would. And we've already done pucker, so we're not going to do pucker. Like I said, it is spelt different ways. In Welsh, it's spelt Pwca, but it is still a pucker. The Pythoness. The Pythoness in Cornwall, England. It's a type of earth fairy. It's believed to live inside the stone megaliths in the area, although there's no description of these beings at all. But their energy is said to sort of be felt like it radiates from the stones. So it's more of a feeling that you get with these rather than an actual seeing of them. And you know, there are many, many out there where actually they do just give off that feeling. They don't necessarily be seen. But still, I think that's important also because I think our instincts sometimes can sense many things. Just because we can't see them does not mean our instincts are not correct, you know. Sometimes we don't pay enough attention, you know, with our eyesight, as daft as that sounds, but it's true. So generally when our instincts tell us something, if we can't actually see it, we try and ignore it. But if we listen to our instincts, I just wonder if there would be more to those feelings. I am very sure there would be. And that is all the fairies in the P. When we come back, we'll be on the letter Q. Please hit the like, share if you can, and if you're not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Many blessings. Wysteria, energy, twister.